with disabilities. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting right into the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Specifically, Title II.
Right, Title II, and how it impacts places like jails and detention centers. You sent over a really detailed list. Is basically on the key takeaways from that. You know, how these regulations ensure people with disabilities get fair treatment inside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At its heart, ODA Title II says public entities can't discriminate based on disability, period.
And that includes state and local correctional facilities.
Absolutely. It means equal access, equal opportunity in all their services, all their programs.
Okay. And the Department of Justice, the DOJ, they're the main enforcer.
They are. They provide a lot of the guidance and, well, make sure the rules stick.
Got it. So these big principles, how do they actually work day to day inside a jail for someone with a disability?
Well, non-discrimination means if someone's qualified for a program, could be education, job training, whatever. Their disability can't be why they're kept out or denied the benefit. Simple as that, really. But it often requires adjustments.
Adjustments? Like what?
They call them reasonable modifications. So maybe someone needs special medical equipment. The facility might have to tweak its rules about personal property.
Ah, okay. To allow the equipment.
Right. Or if medication timing is critical, maybe they adjust the daily schedule slightly for that person. It's about enabling equal participation.
So adapting the system, not excluding the person. What about accessing the place itself, the services?
Yeah, program accessibility is huge. All services have to be usable.
Mhm.
Education, visitation, libraries, everything.
For all facilities, even older ones.
For existing facilities, it's about the program as a whole being accessible. It's a bit more flexible. But new construction, that has to meet really strict 2010 ADA standards.
Okay. And they can't charge extra for this.
Definitely not. No surcharges on individuals with disabilities for accessibility measures. That's explicit.
Makes sense. Your analysis also highlighted a specific section, 35.152. Why that one?
Yeah, that section really zeroes in on correctional and detention facilities, the ones run by public entities or their contractors.
What's it add?
It really hammers home the point about no discrimination in any program, educational, vocational, religious, medical services, you name it. And it mandates integrated housing. That's a big one.
Integrated housing, meaning?
Meaning inmates with disabilities have to be housed in the most integrated setting that's appropriate for their actual needs, not just stuck somewhere else because it's easier.
So you can't just put someone in a higher security wing because there aren't any accessible cells in the general population wing.
Exactly. That's specifically prohibited. Just like you can't house someone in the medical unit unless they genuinely need.
What else does it prevent?
It stops facilities from placing someone where they can't access the same programs everyone else gets. And, importantly, it prevents placing someone in a distant facility just because of their disability if it makes it harder for family to visit.
So it protects program access and family contact, too.
It does. And it requires those reasonable policy changes and physical mods, like ensuring a certain percentage of cells meet those 2010 standards at each security level.
So a lack of accessible cells isn't an excuse for unequal treatment.
Not at all. And this goes beyond just the physical stuff. Communication is critical.
Right. How does that work? Ensuring effective communication.
Facilities have to make sure that communication with inmates who have disabilities is just as effective as it is for inmates without them.
How do they do that, practically speaking?
Often it means providing auxiliary aids and services. Things like qualified sign language interpreters for hearings or doctor visits.
Okay, like in person or video?
Could be either. Video remote interpreting VRI is common. Also, written materials in different formats like Braille or large print.
What about for phone calls or alarms?
Accessible phones, definitely. TDDs or TDYs, video phones, and visual alarms in housing areas for inmates with hearing impairments.
Seems essential for safety and just basic functioning. Who's overseeing all this inside the facility?
That would generally be the ADA coordinator. If a public entity has 50 or more employees, they have to designate one.
And if they have fewer?
It's still strongly recommended. Their job is huge, coordinating compliance, investigating complaints.
Making sure programs and buildings are accessible.
Yes, training staff, managing the grievance process, arranging those auxiliary aids we talked about. They also do self-evaluations and plan accessibility improvements.
A key role. Okay, let's quickly define who's covered. What counts as a disability under the ADA?
Well, there are three ways to qualify. The main one is having a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits a major life activity.
Like seeing, hearing, walking, mental health conditions.
Exactly. Things like diabetes, major depression, PTSD 2, and substantially limits is meant to be interpreted broadly now. The second way is having a record of such an impairment. Maybe you had cancer in the past. And third, being regarded as having an impairment even if you don't currently have one that limits you.
But there are some exclusions.
Yes. Current illegal use of drugs is one. Also, certain behavioral disorders like compulsive gambling or pyromania aren't covered.
Good to clarify. One last area: digital access. Websites, apps.
This is getting more attention. New rules are coming in.
What do they require?
They require facility websites and mobile apps to meet WSAG 2.1 level AA accessibility standards. Those are web content guidelines.
Deadlines for that.
Yep, coming up in April 2026 and 2027, depending on the entity size.
And why is that important in this context?
Well, think about families checking visitation rules online or inmates needing to access grievance procedures electronically. Everyone needs that access.
So, ADA Title II really touches almost every aspect of life inside for individuals with disabilities: housing, programs, communication, even online info.
It really does. It's meant to be comprehensive, ensuring fairness and equal opportunity across the board.
This has been a really clarifying deep dive. It does leave you thinking, though, given how complex correctional environments are, how can these vital ADA rules be, most effectively implemented and actually monitored to really make sure the rights and basic dignity of incarcerated people with disabilities are truly protected day in, day out?
That's the ongoing challenge, isn't it? Implementation and oversight.
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for breaking all this down today.
My pleasure. Good discussion.